saw Santa Ana get to San Antonio because he was shot by a Spanish sniper in that tree directly in front of this boat. And some people refer to that as the sniper's tree. But that tree is well over 250 years old, and we'll be coming back through floodgate number 3. See, isn't it nice when you're out here without all those boats? The tree got stuck in there during the flood of 1921, and when they built the wall, it retained enough moisture for the tree to sprout. And they're renovating this building, and the city said, renovate all you want to, but leave the tree alone. And do you see the stairwell going up here to the right? In the 1920s and early 30s, this was a barber shop. And people would spend 3, 4, 5 hours getting their hair cut, and then miraculously, at 1 minute after the end of Prohibition, the guy walked out and hung that shingle right there, and it became the Esquire Tavern. That's the oldest bar on the Riverwalk. Here to the right as we get up next to them, I want everybody to look to the right, and you're going to see a giant concrete Aztec godhead. This is the rear entrance to the Aztec Theater. Now, the Aztec opened in the early 1920s as a silent movie palace. The term palace is the pejorative word. The theaters were very ornate, and the Aztec does not disappoint. The whole front of the theater and the wing walls were built to look like an ancient Aztec ruin. It's absolutely opulent. And they have a magnificent 10-ton chandelier that hangs out in the lobby. Now, this bridge we're coming under, this is Selena's bridge. This is where Selena Quintanilla's husband asked her to marry her, and when they made the movie Selena, Jennifer Lopez stood at this on the top of this bridge, and she threw her hands up like this. And a boat full of tourists just like you. You guys just have incredibly bad timing because you're 15 years too late. But if she were there, I'd pull the boat over and get fired from this job. And while all of you were getting her autograph, I'd be looking for A-Rod. Because although I hate the Yankees, I really like him as a baseball player, and I'd love to have his autograph. Now, this building on the left, in the 1850s, this was St. Mary's boarding school. It evolved into being St. Mary's University, and when they outgrew the building and moved to the west side of San Antonio, it became St. Mary's Law School, and it stayed that until 1966, when 2 of its former students bought it and turned it into the hotel that you see today, and they opened. You're going to see a great optical illusion. Okay, start looking. Left. Straight, hey, left, that way. Get straight up. Straight up. Yeah, straight up doesn't mean look at the top of the sign. Just look at the top of that building. Isn't that a cool optical illusion? It looks like a freestanding wall. That's actually one of the walls of the Nix Hospital. It opened in the early 1930s, and it was the first air-conditioned hospital in the United States. And if you know who Carol Burnett is, she was actually born in that hospital. Now, people ask me all the time, they go, how many people fall in the river? We have no way of knowing that. It's hundreds of miles long. But if you ask about down, and if you fall in and they catch you, it's a $300 fine. But if you're down here having a few adult beverages later and you fall over one straight across and go out the other side, you'll be directly across the street from the Alamo. And originally they wanted to build this hotel 30 stories tall, but they were limited to 15, because if this hotel was any taller, they would cast a shadow on the Alamo, and that is illegal in the state of Texas. So if you didn't know it, now you know it. The water level here when it floods, now be careful with her. I don't want to have her fall in.
I got her.
Okay. They couldn't get anybody to come down here and put a business on the river level. Nobody would come down here. So Robert Hugman actually came down here, and you see this building on the right with the plaques on the wall? He put his office on the first floor there, and to prove that it was safe to be here. And if you look right here, do you see this little bronze bust? That's Robert Hugman looking out at his beloved Riverwalk. His vision was that San Antonio would become the Venice of Texas. Originally, a Spanish land grant hacienda set here. Okay? I know they're having fun. And we're going to be turning left here onto the man-made channel. And the man-made channel is exactly what it sounds like. They opened this in the early 19th river. So they built this. Now this has a in 1985, Marriott wanted to build that hotel, but they couldn't because there was already a hotel there called the Fairmont, and the Fairmont was on the historical preservation list. So they weren't allowed to tear it down, so they asked if they could move it. So they jacked the Fairmont Hotel up, they pushed wheel dollies underneath the hotel, and they used gravel trucks, and they drug that hotel to where it still sits and operates at Alamo and Nueva Street. And in the process of doing that, they ended up in the Guinness World Book of Records, because that is the largest structure ever moved on pneumatic tires. And I don't think they knew that at the time, but that's just the way it worked out. And until about 12 years ago, the Fairmont had a dog. They had adopted a stray dog, and the dog would greet you at the front door and escort you to the desk to sign in. Eventually, he got old and passed. Now, everybody get your cameras out. I want everybody to look to the right. This will be the best picture of the Tower of the Americas. And I'm going to kind of, since we're the lone boat out here, I'm going to kind of stop. Nobody's going to yell at me. Everybody get that picture? So you get this kind of service when you're the last boat on the river. If I stopped this boat with a bunch of boats out here, I'd have some manager yelling at me.
Okay, maybe we'll get it like, okay,
Don't worry, we're going to get another really good picture of that building here in a second. Now, that's the tallest structure in San Antonio. Over.
okay.
Happy birthday, dear. Happy birthday to you. Now, that tower was built for the 1968 World's Fair. And until they built the Stratosphere in Las Vegas, that was the tallest freestanding. Okay, now when they moved the Fairmont Hotel, they actually had to cross this bridge we're going under. And they had to come in and buttress the bridge up underneath. And it took them 24 hours just to cross this space. And directly in front of us, that's the mirrored bridge. It connects the two sides of the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center. And it's named after former Congressman Henry B. Gonzalez. He was the first Hispanic American elected to Congress, and he served from 1961 to 1991. Now, everybody look over, and right in the middle you'll see the Alamo. And I'm going to turn around right here so everybody can get good pictures. Everybody make sure to get a good picture of that. That's my favorite thing on the Riverwalk. That is incredible artistry. And it's called the Confluence of Civilization, in case you were wondering what its name was. Bless you. I could hear that even back here. Unfortunately, every time I sniffle, you guys all get to hear it. Everybody get a good picture?
Yep.
That's the Palacio del Rio. That was the hotel right across from where we started. You notice it looks like a Christmas tree. And now here's your trivia for the night. Did you know that San Antonio was the birthplace of military aviation? The third plane that the Wright brothers built was actually railroaded in here, and a lieutenant named Lieutenant Benjamin Foley actually flew it at Fort Sam Houston over the cavalry parade ground. And the next 10 planes that they built, they rail-headed in and they trained 10 pilots, and those were the first 11 pilots in the United States military. And until the Air Force actually became the Air Force in 1946, the headquarters of the Army Air Corps was actually here. Now, if you guys are staying down here, this is a great hard way. So now I wait. Kitty got off and got up there. She took me at my word, okay? That's why I'm not doing stand-up comedy. But as you guys see, Did you see the one dining boat as we drove by it?
Yeah.
They actually have tables and they serve food. Now listen, it's cheaper than you guys think. I actually did it before I worked for this company. And if you go to a restaurant like Casa Rio, it's pretty reasonable, but it's a great way to entertain about 20 people, and it's a very memorable experience. And I really enjoyed it. Now coming up on our right, you'll see a beautiful bronze statue right over here. That's St. Anthony de Padua. He is the patron saint of our river, and our city takes its name from the river. And that was a gift to San Antonio from Portugal in 1969. But St. Anthony de Padua lived in 11th century Portugal. Now everybody get your cameras out. This is the best picture of the Tower Life building on the river. So that's a great picture for you. So I'll go kind of slow here to make sure everybody gets their picture. Now this park here on the right, it's named after former mayor. Council come up with